They stay together, they travel together, they eat all the same food together. When they come back, only the American wife slash mother needs to get the health check done in the US, and the father slash husband and child can come back to Korea. They'll be removing the alien term because it may be insensitive. I'd rather be called an alien and treated like a human than be called a human and treated like an alien. What's up guys, Fooch here. Now, I didn't think I'd have to be making a video that criticizes the current Korean government. However, they just keep coming out with laws that are discriminatory against foreigners, and as considering the current party is always priding itself on being for human rights and equality for all, it's just so hypocritical. So I just felt that I needed to create this video to share with others that already don't know, or definitely with Koreans that aren't aware of some of the policies being created for foreigners. Before I get started, I just want to disclose that I believe every country has a right to protect its own citizens first. I realize I'm a foreigner, I realize that this is not my home country, and I realize that I'm a guest. And if the country wants to do something to protect its own citizens, I completely understand that, as long as it makes sense, whether for the financial well-being of the citizens or for the protection and safety of the citizens. However, I believe that some of these laws don't actually do that, and they're completely political, and they're completely hypocritical of everything that Moon Jae In's government stands for. So let's take a look at a couple of articles. Let's take a look at this first article here from the Korea Times. I'm going to pull that up real quick. South Korea suspends automatic re-entry for foreign residents. So as of June 1st of this year, Korea decided that all foreign residents, including people married to Koreans and people with permanent residencies, must apply for a re-entry permit before they leave Korea. Now, that's not the big deal. However, if they don't apply for that, they will have their visa revoked, even if they have permanent residency. The bigger thing, though, is when you come back to Korea, you must have a health check done in the country that you're currently in within 48 hours of arriving back into Korea, saying that you currently do not have any symptoms related to corona. Now, the reason why this doesn't make any sense is because Koreans who go abroad do not have to get that same health test. So it's not protecting the safety of the nation, considering Koreans can go get corona abroad and come back and risk them spreading it themselves here. But more importantly, there are a couple of visas exempt from this new law. Of course, some of the diplomatic visas offered, maybe diplomats and whatnot, but also to ethnic Koreans of different nationalities. So what does this mean? If you're a Korean Australian or you're Korean American, you can apply for a special residency visa called the F4 visa or Gyopo visa. Now, this means you're still American, however, you just have a special visa because you have Korean heritage. They are exempt from getting the test done in the country they visit, which means that this law is not about the safety of Korea. This is purely political and racial driven. Now let me give you a quick example. So let's say a Korean, or let's say an American white girl or black girl, whatever, an American girl marries a Korean guy and they have a child together. The three of them decide, and that woman, by the way, she's lived in Korea for, let's say, 20 years. She pays her taxes here, she has her permanent residency here, she pays health insurance here, she has no ties to the US besides she has her citizenship there. The three of them go on a family vacation during this time. Why are they doing that? I have no idea. They decide they want to go. They go to the US. When they stay together, they travel together, they eat all the same food together. When they come back, only the American wife slash mother needs to get the health check done in the US, and the father slash husband and child can come back to Korea and get tested in Korea. And I don't know about your country, the US health insurance system is awful and extremely expensive. So the fact that that person, they don't even have US insurance, how much is that gonna cost? Additionally, apparently the health check has to be approved by a it has to be approved by the Korean embassy. And what are the requirements for that? And then, so this clearly politically driven and potentially racist act, which does not protect the safety of the country, the government also tried to release another piece of news around the same time. Let's pull that up real quick, saying that they will be removing the alien term from the alien registration card. That's pretty much the foreigner ID card. It's called alien registration. They'll be removing the alien term because it may be insensitive. Well, if you ask me, I'd rather be called an alien and treated like a human than be called a human and treated like an alien. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, that's the first thing that's come up. And again, if the government was pro-Korea, pro-Koreans, and never had this rhetoric of equality and, human rights and everything, that would be completely different, because then they'd at least be consistent with their message. But this government is acting in a hypocritical manner by doing this. Let's take a look at the second thing. The second thing is, it's arguable whether or not foreigners should be able to receive this or not. We'll pull that up. This is the kind of stimulus, not bailout, but the stimulus check that was offered to citizens. In the U.S., every citizen and resident, long-term resident, you didn't have to be a citizen, long-term residents also applied and were able to receive it, $1,200 US. And that was to support them during this corona outbreak. Countries like Japan, which is normally actually more racist than Korea, not in terms of how people treat foreigners. Both countries are quite good. I've been to Japan, we're treated very nicely. Korea never experienced any racism. Not to say that it doesn't exist. I've never personally experienced it from people, wonderful people, no problems. But the Japanese government, which is known to be usually more racist than the Korean government, it's much harder to get residency and whatnot. They offered foreigners in Japan a stimulus check. But in Korea, no. No foreigner, not even foreigners that were here for 20 years and just didn't have citizenship, not even foreigners that are married to a Korean, they were not able to receive a stimulus check. Now, after pushback, some smaller cities did offer a stimulus check to foreigners the same as they offered to Koreans, however, not in Seoul. Now, you may be saying, yeah, well, maybe they didn't have enough. Somebody I spoke to about this matter said that, maybe they were limited on money and they only wanted it to provide it to people in need, and Koreans come on a first served basis. And if that was the case, I would have absolutely no issues. I would completely agree, but that is not the case whatsoever. It surprised me when one of my friends she's kind of a middle class, not upper middle, she's between middle and upper middle, maybe like upper middle, upper middle. She received the check, and I was okay, well, maybe that Seoul is pretty expensive, so maybe she was still able to receive it. But what surprised me was this. Take a look at this. See this chair here? This is it's an ordinary chair. It seems like it, but this chair cost thousands of dollars. This shop sells very expensive furniture from Europe. It costs thousands of dollars just for the chair. In order to get an entire living room set, we're talking about $100,000. Only celebrities, rich people, politicians shop at this shop. And I know someone that works at the shop, and they told me that those clients also receive the stimulus check. So we're not just talking about Koreans in need, we're talking about literally every single Korean living in Seoul was able to apply for the stimulus check, even if they can afford a $20,000 chair, whatever, $5,000, $20,000, whatever. They were still able to receive the stimulus check, while many foreigners have lost their jobs. Many foreigners are not getting paid by the business or school that they're working at. Some of the payment is being deferred, pushed back. Some people, the contracts are just being canceled. and they're not getting paid for months of work that they've already done. And, it doesn't make any sense. I get it. If you want to help Koreans in need first, I get it. If you want to give rich Koreans over the foreigners suffering right now money, even though the foreigners are also paying tax, even though the foreigners may have also been living here for a very long time, it doesn't make any sense. And again, I'm going to keep hammering and hammering and hammering away at this point. It is in complete contradiction to the type of rhetoric that Moon Jae In's government is spewing. It's obviously not equality for all. It's equality for all people who can vote and support their party. Foreigners, if you don't know, can't vote. Once you get permanent residency, I think you get permanent residency, and then after 3 years of getting permanent residency, you can finally vote in local elections. But foreigners can never vote in a presidential election or a National Assembly election. I'm pretty sure that, definitely not president. I'm pretty sure about National Assembly election, which is like Congress. So I guess they think, why should we care? They can't vote for us anyway. Just screw them. We don't have the time, or we don't have the money, to deal with them. So a lot of people are pissed off about this. Now, the third point I have is not related to recent news, but it's something that recently happened to me. Taxes, the Korean tax season is in the month of May, so I filed taxes before the end of the month. And Korea allows you to deduct your rent on your tax return. So, I pay rent, and I was planning to deduct that so I wouldn't have to pay as much tax or get a little bit an extra refund, some more refund back. However, in order to report the rent to be deducted, you have to be the head of a household. And I'm guessing the US equivalent is you have to be independent. You can't be declared as a dependent, somebody else's dependent. So you have to be a head of the household. Well, foreigners can't deduct rent from their tax. And why is that? It's because, take a look at this, it's because that foreigners, for whatever reason, can never be the head of the household. No reason given, just foreigners cannot be a head of the household. Doesn't matter how long you've lived here, doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a business, doesn't matter how much health insurance you pay, doesn't matter how much money you make, you could just never be the head of a household. And that's just, I don't even know what to say about that. That's just absolutely ridiculous and completely, it's just, arguably racist. It's definitely unfair. It does no good in protecting the Korean people. It just, I don't know. So, I didn't want to, especially, there's so much negative news now. The corona's been going on, the protests in the U.S., and there's just like a whole bunch of negativity, and I didn't want to add to that. But these are just some of the frustrations that some foreigners like myself are facing in Korea, who, I and them as well, I'm sure, we immigrated to Korea, and we want to spend the rest of our lives here, potentially. I pay Korean tax. I'm into the health insurance. I pay that even though I'm healthy and never go. Just spending over $100 a month for this great system that I don't get to use, but I'm happy because it helps other people in need use this system. I've started a business. Hopefully I'll have some employees soon, so I'll be, making jobs in the Korean economy. And despite all of that, I still have to get a health check when I come back within 48 hours. Koreans don't have to do that. Korean Americans don't have to do that if they have the right visa or whatever nationality they may be. We can't get a piece of that stimulus check, even though there are many foreigners hurting. Luckily, I've been able to weather the storm decently, so I'm not in need of it, but of course it would be nice and beneficial if that were to happen. And 3, we can't become the head of a household, even though we have our own household, just because. So I'm sorry for the negativity, but I just had to get that off my chest and to just inform people that may not already know that information. So, I don't know what else to say. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a blessed day. Try not to be negative through all this negativity, but I'll catch you guys later.